The courtroom feels electric. A woman stands before the judge, her face defiant, her tone sharp. She dares to speak out, to challenge authority. But what she may not realize in that moment, she's teetering on the edge of a life-changing mistake. Because in this judge's courtroom, disrespect isn't just frowned upon, it carries a price. And when she refuses to back down, the judge doesn't just respond. He shocks her with a brutal prison sentence. 1. The moment it all went wrong. The drama begins in a bail hearing. The defendant, a woman whose freedom is hanging by a thread, openly argues with the judge. What may have started as frustration or anxiety spirals into a full-blown confrontation. In most courts, decorum matters. Judges expect respect. But here, her tone is confrontational, her words defiant. The atmosphere shifts. What some might call just talking back crosses the line into contempt. In this courtroom, respect isn't optional. And for this woman, that choice, to voice her anger, to challenge the judge, becomes a turning point. She doesn't just defend her case. She confronts the very person who holds the power to decide her fate. 2. Contempt of court. What does it actually mean? Contempt of court is more than a buzzword. Legally, it's a mechanism that allows judges to enforce their authority and maintain order. When someone disrespects the court through words, behavior, or refusal to comply, they can be found in contempt. This isn't a trivial matter. Depending on the jurisdiction, contempt can lead to fines, jail time, or both. In this case, what appears as a verbal spat between judge and defendant escalates quickly. The judge isn't just annoyed. He perceives her conduct as a direct challenge to his courtroom's functioning and dignity. By holding her in contempt, he is signaling disrespect is not tolerated, not in his courtroom. 3. The judge's power and the scales of justice. Judges don't wield absolute power, but within the courtroom, their decisions are final, at least in the moment. They manage not only legal issues, but also the tone of the proceedings. When someone defies them, they can use the power of contempt to punish and deter. But this power is double-edged. It's meant to preserve the integrity of the court, yet its exercise can raise serious ethical and procedural questions. How far is too far? When is a contempt charge being used not just to restore order, but to punish dissent? These are the stark realities behind the judge's dramatic decision in this case. 4. The fallout. 300 days behind bars. The most shocking part of this story, the woman ends up sentenced to 300 days in jail. For many, that level of punishment for a verbal confrontation seems extreme. Yet, in the eyes of the judge, her behavior crossed a line so severe that incarceration was justified. This sentence isn't just a slap on the wrist. It's nearly a full year of lost freedom. During that time, she'll experience the realities of prison life, confinement, the deprivation of liberty, and the psychological toll of being behind bars. For some viewers, it raises serious concerns. Is the punishment proportional to the crime? Does contempt of court merit such a harsh response? 5. Public reaction, divided and outraged. Once this case went public, the reaction was immediate and polarized. Supporters of the judge argue that he upheld court decorum, showing that defiance has consequences. They say a courtroom must command respect, and without accountability, chaos could reign. Critics, however, see a power imbalance. Many ask, should someone be locked up for talking back? Is a nearly year-long sentence too much for a verbal challenge, especially in a bail hearing rather than a final trial? 6. The legal context, precedents, and comparisons. This isn't the first time a judge has cracked down on disrespect. Across the legal world, contempt of court cases have produced wildly different outcomes. In some cases, judges have given relatively minimal jail time or fines, depending on the severity. In more extreme scenarios, like this one, the sentence can stretch into months. There is also a broader historical context. Judges have, at times, used contempt for political or personal authority, raising concerns about misuse of power. Legal scholars often debate how to balance a court's need for respect with fundamental rights like free expression and due process. 7. The defendant's perspective. What might have gone through her mind in those moments? Fear, frustration, desperation? Bail hearings are high stakes, and the pressure on someone fighting for freedom can warp even the best intentions. Perhaps she felt unheard, marginalized, or even humiliated. Maybe she believed speaking out was her only way to assert her rights. But in that moment, her defiance collided with the judge's zero-tolerance approach, a miscalculation that cost her dearly. Her 300-day sentence isn't just a punishment. It's a dramatic reminder of the personal risks inherent in a court system that demands not only obedience, but also subservience. 8. Institutional power and the question of fairness. This case raises bigger questions about the justice system. Who gets punished for contempt, and why? Are some defendants more likely to be penalized because they lack legal experience, power, or composure? It also highlights the discrepancy between legal theory and courtroom reality. In textbooks, a court is supposed to be a neutral arbiter of truth. But in practice, it's also a place of power dynamics. Judges, bailiffs, attorneys, they all shape how a defendant can speak and be heard. When someone challenges that structure, the consequences can be severe. 9. Prison realities. More than just time served. Getting sentenced is one thing. Surviving prison is another. Those 300 days will likely involve navigating a system that's not designed to rehabilitate, especially for someone whose crime was verbal in nature. Life behind bars can be brutal: loss of freedom, strained mental health, isolation. And for someone jailed for contempt, there may be little opportunity for traditional rehabilitation or programs. Instead, she's punished for challenging authority, not for a crime in the conventional sense. Those months in prison could change her, not just through the experience of incarceration, but also the societal stigma and ripple effects on her future. 10. Aftermath. What happens next? Once her sentence begins, several paths might unfold. Legal appeal. She could challenge the contempt ruling, arguing the punishment was excessive or that her rights were violated. But appeals can be long, costly, and uncertain. Parole or early release. Depending on the system, she might be eligible for early release, though this isn't guaranteed. Personal reconciliation. Will she ever repair her relationship with the court, with the judge who sentenced her? Even if released early, the memory and stigma of the confrontation may persist. Beyond her personal future, this case could fuel a broader debate on court reform. About how contempt is handled, whether judges have too much power, and how to better protect defendants' rights. 11. The ethics of contempt. Check and balance. From a philosophical perspective, contempt powers exist for a reason: to protect respect for the institution of justice, to prevent chaos, and to maintain order in court. Yet, like any power, it's vulnerable to abuse. When imposed too harshly, contempt sentences can feel more like a tool of punishment than a procedural safeguard. Unchecked, they risk silencing dissent and concentrating too much power in a single figure, the judge. The ethical question becomes, how can we ensure that contempt powers are used fairly, proportionally, and transparently? How can courts balance authority with respect for individual dignity? 12. Lessons for everyone. This case isn't just about one volatile courtroom moment. It's a warning and a lesson. For defendants, be mindful of consequences. Speaking your mind in court is a right, but it can also be dangerous. For judges, the power to sanction is immense and must be wielded with care. For the public, this should spark discussion about what justice really means. Is true justice only about the law, or also about respect, empathy, and power? Real reform starts when we ask hard questions about the role of judges, about the rights of defendants, and about the structures that govern how we speak in a courtroom. If this story has moved you, if it raises uncomfortable questions about power, fairness, or how our justice system treats dissent in the crucible of a courtroom, words carry weight. Respect matters, but so does justice. When someone dares to question authority, they're taking a risk. In this case, her defiance cost her nearly a year of her life. The judge, wielding the full force of his contempt powers, made an example of her. This is more than just a viral courtroom clip. It's a microcosm of tension between power and individual autonomy, between order and freedom, between respect and justice. Let this be a reminder. The way we talk about, challenge, and understand our legal system matters. Because in a courtroom, a single word can change everything.